Crisis Radio. Webster Tarpley here in Washington, D.C. Big program today. A lot of action on tarpley.net. Do take a look. The most recent Obama strategy for G20 in Ottawa. Euro down, renminbi up, attack Germany, and keep toxic derivatives in complete command of the world economy. That's the most recent. A couple of days before that, are we going towards the 18th Brumaire of General Dave Petraeus, the head of the neocon warmonger faction? The 18th Brumaire, of course, the Bonapartist coup d'etat back in November of 1799 when Napoleon Bonaparte overthrew the weak civilian government of the Directory and made himself dictator, military dictator of France. Is that David Petraeus, the neocons? Hope so, and stupid Barkey, the feckless, impotent one, has played into their hands. And you've also got, from this week, Obama Afghanistan policy in ruins, anti-war primary challenger against Obama needed. But let's catch up. We've got the complete sellout on the derivatives bill. We've got the G20. We've got the McChrystal-Petraeus complex. We've got the unspeakable reactionary crime of blocking the extension of unemployment benefits for 1.2 million hard-working Americans by the same damn regime that they shovel trillions into foreign wars and above all into bailouts for Wall Street hedge fund hyenas and zombie bankers. We're headed towards a huge crisis. Let's look at the deed done in the dead of night. It was the hour of the wolf between 4 and 5 and 6 a.m. in the morning. And Barney Frank and Dodd, with the help of Geithner and Obama, have essentially destroyed the Wall Street reform bill. This is a complete sellout to Wall Street. The money power in Wall Street has won up and down the line. You listen to Limbaugh today. He calls this a step towards command economy and a government power grab. It's ridiculous. It reasserts the total power of Wall Street. Unbelievable turnaround here. Basically, the two measures that counted have been completely gutted. The first thing to realize about this, derivatives caused the depression. The immediate cause of the financial panic of September, October 2008 were derivatives, not subprime mortgages. They are a trivial, marginal aspect of the U.S. economy. But when you make them the basis of mortgage-backed securities, when you put those into collateralized debt obligations, and when you erect an edifice of structured investment vehicles on top and credit default swaps on top of those, then you've multiplied that effect exponentially, geometrically, and that's how you brought down the entire Anglo-American banking system. These facts not yet widely known, as you could hear from the blabbering of the various reactionary Republicans that were taking part in these overnight hearings, the Corkers, the Shelbys, the Chamblises, the Greggs, and of course Scott Brown drives a truck but rolls over for State Street Bank. All the useful idiots who voted for Scott Brown, look what you got. A shill for Wall Street, a shill for the Boston branch, for State Street Bank. Scott Brown, the senator from State Street Bank. I drive a truck. I've got cultural populist street creds, but I'm a shill for finance capital. So the serious parts of this, well, again, there were two to begin with, but let's see what was left out. When they talk about derivatives, they said they wanted to do something about derivatives, but they had nothing about structured investment vehicles. They had nothing about collateralized debt obligations or the super CDOs. Even Lloyd Blankfein said that those may be ripe for prohibition. No. Germany has banned naked credit default swaps. What do we get in the U.S.? Nothing. There are no bright line prohibitions. No class of derivatives are restricted or banned or outlawed. There are no serious penalties for anything in the bill. Wall Street got what they wanted. The significant part of the bill that was left in was the language coming from Blanche Lincoln, embattled Democrat from Arkansas. She was looking for economic populist street creds, and she did fight to some degree overnight in these hearings for her Title VII provision number 716, the terrible 716 feared by Wall Street. This would have forced banks with federally insured deposits, and they're getting money from the Federal Reserve, too, 0% credit, not to indulge in credit default swaps beyond some very, very narrow definitions. And this has been completely gutted, completely swept away. The key moment came after the midnight hour when we had a certain Colin Peterson of Minnesota, his name goes on the roll of infamy, who read out, prodded by Barney Frank, who was behind this, the following compromise, what the House was offering, because the Senate was actually better, thanks to Blanche Lincoln. The House was much worse. They said, all right, we're going to allow banks to continue to trade in interest rate credit default swaps, in foreign exchange credit default swaps, in credit derivatives, as long as those are based on investment-grade securities. Well, we know what that's worth. We know Fitch, Moody, Standard & Poor's can be bought. You can get anything stamped AAA. We see this. It's a mockery. They'll stamp anybody's rear end with AAA if they get enough money crossing their palm, so that's easy to do. All of that remains now in commercial banks with federally guaranteed deposits and with getting money from the Federal Reserve. So interest rates swaps go on, foreign exchange swaps, probably the biggest category, go on, and the credit derivatives with this little proviso, they go on. It's only gold and silver and some commodities that are moved away. The only commodities, the only kinds of credit default swaps you can't do anymore are energy, metals, agriculture, and credit derivatives if something is not AAA. Well, it's a rare piece of financial garbage that won't be stamped AAA by one of these corrupt companies. Now, that guts everything. Blanche Lincoln, goodbye. This is now completely gone, thanks to this deed done in the dead of night by Congressman Colin Peterson, who was, of course, a speaking tube for Barney Frank and ultimately for Dodd also from the Senate side. The way in which this was done, of course, the first thing is Obama is a Wall Street puppet. You were warned. You were warned on this broadcast. Obama is a Wall Street puppet. He is attempting to deliver for his masters, the big hedge fund hyenas and zombie bankers who run him, who own him, and who dictate to him. So who did we have? The whole administration lined up against Blanche Lincoln. That was Tiny Tim, TurboTax, tax cheat Geithner. That was helicopter Ben Bernanke. That was the lawless Sheila Bair, who says, well, bankruptcy doesn't work for zombie banks. She's the incarnation of too big to fail. They all lined up against Blanche Lincoln. Naturally, Dodd, the head of the Senate committee, Senate Banking Committee, he's on his way to a Wall Street-funded retirement. He's got no worries. He's not going to face the voters again. That's all over for him. He's headed for the last roundup. He's looking to line his pockets. And the unspeakable Barney Frank, who does this all under some kind of left cover that he gets from, various activities of his. So they are there. And then, of course, the Republicans. The Republicans are unspeakable. Shelby, Corker, Chambliss, Gregg, Scott Brown, all of a stripe. The Tea Party, the Tea groups or Tea groupies are just the same as the normal reactionary Republicans. They love derivatives. We'll talk about how the Republicans run interference for derivatives in a minute. But this combination was too much for Blanche Lincoln, who got some support from Harkin. Derivatives rule in Washington, D.C. Let the American people tremble.